Joining us now, Beverly Hallberg, and also Robert Patillo. He is the Democratic political analyst, and Beverly is our Republican on board. Thank you both for joining us. We appreciate it.
Good morning.
Thanks, Heather.
So, Beverly, I'll start with you. What do you think about this? A good idea, because we know that Hillary Clinton lost.
Yeah, I don't think she's necessarily going to be taking a lot of tips at this point. I think if Elizabeth Warren does win the nomination, she's going to need some tips on how to handle a debate with Donald Trump. I see this more as Elizabeth Warren really trying to establish herself among the Democratic establishment. It's true that the Clintons are definitely polarizing figures, are not as popular as they once were with the American public, but they know how to raise money, and Hillary could potentially help Elizabeth Warren gain the vote of African Americans as well as women. So I see this as Warren seeing that there could be the nomination in her sights and trying to get help wherever she can.
Yeah, and Robert, I want you to talk about that as well, whether or not this is a good idea. And as you make your comment, let's bring this up because we have the preference among leaned Democrats, and we can bring that up right now. Biden at 27%, Sanders, and then Warren right there at third. So, you know, a lot of movement still left to go on here.
Well, I think what we have to understand is Hillary Clinton still won the 2016 general election by 3 million votes in the popular vote. She failed in the Electoral College. So, of course, if you're Elizabeth Warren, you want to talk to the person who got 63 million votes in the last election. Also, a fellow female candidate who's gone further than any female candidate in American history, and who only lost who lost by a total of 70,000 votes in 3 Midwestern states. If Elizabeth Warren follows the Hillary Clinton map, but remembers to campaign in Michigan and Wisconsin and can get suburban white women voters to come back to the Democratic Party, then she has an outstanding chance of not just securing the nomination, but also becoming president in 2020.
Yeah.
So, of course, you will take advice from Hillary Clinton.
And what that graphic didn't show, we had another one that showed that Warren has gone up between July and September by about 6 points, from 11% in July, and then she's now at 17% here in September. You know, Bernie Sanders, he's trotting out Linda Sarsour as a campaign surrogate. Listen to what Sarsour had to say.
At a time of startling rise in white nationalism and anti-Semitism, I would be so proud to win, but also to make history. First Jewish American president this country has ever seen, and for his name to be Bernard Sanders.
Beverly, did you ever think you'd see something like this?
I didn't. I frankly am shocked by this move. When you take a look at Linda Sarsour, first of all, she's a controversial figure for a variety of reasons, most notably because she does align herself with individuals who have made anti-Semitic remarks. She was also one of the chairmen of the board and the Women's March. Even the DNC distanced themselves from the Women's March this past January because of their anti-Semitic remarks. So it's one thing for her to come out and say, I'm going to support Bernie Sanders. It's another thing for him to bring her as a campaign surrogate on the campaign trail. I view this as desperation on Bernie Sanders' parts. I don't think it would help him, but I think as he sees Elizabeth Warren continuing to gain in the polls, maybe he thought this was his Hail Mary.
You know, Sarsour, Robert, some of the controversial issues involving her include her harsh criticism of Israel. She defends Sharia law. She also, refuses to condemn Louis Farrakhan. Do you think this was a good move by Bernie, and why do you think he did it?
Bernie's not a serious candidate for president. Bernie has been at around 15 to 20% the entire time he's been running. Bernie Sanders is running to make a point. The same as he did in 2016, he was running to make a point. Then, as we've seen, much of the Democratic base has been swayed either towards his leftist position or taking on this sort of rhetoric. So what Bernie Sanders is attempting to do with this is to push the conversation forward. I don't think Bernie has any illusions about actually winning the nomination or becoming president. What he is trying to do is make a point more so than score political points.
Yeah, I don't know what the point is of having someone who defends Sharia law, though. Beverly, Robert, thank you both for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Heather.